Discover Ginger's heartwarming babysitting adventure. 7 incredible moments that will change everything. Ginger's heart raced as she pulled up to the Harrington's sprawling mansion. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting an orange glow over the perfectly manicured lawn. As she stepped out of her modest car, she felt tiny against the grandeur of the estate, so different from her humble Midwestern town. Balancing excitement and nerves, she straightened her shoulders. This job was her ticket into a world she longed to be part of. The first moment arrived swiftly. Little Lily, barely a year old, wailed from the nursery. Ginger, heart leaping at the sound, entered the soft-lit room and scooped the fussy baby into her arms, whispering ridiculous nursery rhymes she'd heard from older siblings. The tension melted as Lily's cries faded into giggles. Joy surged through her like a warm wave. For that brief moment, she felt like a part of something special. Next came the chaos of the older Harrington siblings, a whirlwind of laughter and bickering. They squabbled over toys, their voices overlapping. Ginger kneeled down, her heart racing again. How about a game instead? She proposed, and with sheer determination, organized a treasure hunt inside the house. The excitement in their eyes lit up the room, and Ginger felt elation wash over her. Their laughter echoed like sweet music, erasing her fears. But nothing prepared her for the quiet strength of the grandfather as he entered the room. Dressed in a plaid shirt and orthopedic shoes, he settled next to her on the couch. "Did I ever tell you about Normandy?" He shared tales of bravery and sacrifice that filled Ginger's heart with respect. A World War II veteran's stories dripped with lessons about humility, where she learned that not every sacrifice was seen, but each was vital. Tears pricked at her eyes as she absorbed his wisdom, realizing that courage can come in many forms. Yet, as the evening deepened, Ginger accidentally overheard the Harringtons talking. Their voices dripped with judgment as they assessed her, a simple girl from a small town, unworthy of their world. A cold rush of self-doubt settled in her chest. Did she really belong here? Should she have aimed higher? The seeds of insecurity threatened to choke her newfound courage. Determined to keep standing tall, she held on to her perseverance. When the Harringtons expected her to separate the children when they argued, she surprised them. "Let them laugh and fight," she declared. "They'll learn to forgive each other." The room stilled. The silence was heavy before she saw a flicker of approval in the grandfather's gaze. It felt like an unspoken acknowledgement bridging their worlds. The night took on a new light after that, fostering unexpected kindness from the Harringtons. They began to recognize her efforts, and their gratitude filled the air like a soothing balm. Ginger's heart soared, yet the shadow of doubt lingered. After all, how does one change perceptions rooted deep in class divides? As she prepared to leave, the grandfather's knowing look sent a shudder of realization through her. He understood her struggle, and perhaps he saw the spark of change in her. With every breath filled with hope, Ginger stepped out into the night. She knew the journey was just beginning. Could she truly weave connection in a world that felt so divided? As she drove away, the question clung to the air like an unspoken promise, leaving readers breathless with anticipation for what was to come. Ginger navigated her way home, the car's headlights flickering out like stars in the gathering nighttime darkness. The events of the evening swirled in her mind, each moment replaying with the intensity of a first love. Excitement intermingled with anxiety, and her heart began to race again. She felt an unyielding need to prove herself, to show the Harringtons that she was more than just a babysitter. She was a conduit for love and learning. The next day, with the morning sun shimmering through her bedroom window, Ginger awoke with a renewed sense of purpose. After breakfast, she put on her favorite teal sundress, the one that always made her feel spirited. Looking in the mirror, she whispered, "You belong among them." With a hopeful smile, she packed a small bag, ensuring to include a few books and art supplies. She would turn her next day into a lesson, not just for the children but for herself. Arriving at the Harringtons, the house now felt both inviting and intimidating. She stepped inside, greeted by the bustling sounds of breakfast being served, and instantly felt a sense of belonging wash over her. The kids rushed toward her, their faces lighting up as if she were the sun breaking through the morning clouds. "Ginger! Ginger! Can we do the treasure hunt again?" they clamored, their voices overlapping. "Sure!" she exclaimed, a grin breaking on her face. "But today we'll add a twist." Curiosity sparked, Ginger began explaining her plan. The treasure hunt would have them solving riddles and using clues from books, making it a wonderful blend of fun and learning. As she spoke, Lily gurgled from her high chair, clapping her hands, echoing her excitement. It was beautiful. Ginger felt like she was igniting something in all of them. As they started, Ginger guided them through the house, her voice flowing like music. The laughter echoed in the air, brighter than the morning sun, but then she saw it, the mother peeking from the kitchen, observing with a furrowed brow. The disbelief was palpable as she watched her children lose themselves in joy. But her worry hung thick like fog. "Are you sure they should be doing this?" she asked hesitantly as she served breakfast. "Absolutely. They're learning." Ginger's confidence wavered, knowing the woman was still sizing her up, but she pressed on. Beneath the laughter, they're engaging their minds. Connection is key. The mother paused, eyes softened a little as she observed the vibrant scene. It was as if Ginger were unveiling a hidden truth. As they reached the final clue, the cheers rang through the air like fireworks. The children found the treasure, a box filled with colorful art supplies. Ginger was caught off guard, tears of pride welling in her eyes as they squealed and ran to hug her. At that moment, warmth spread throughout her chest. She felt like a lighthouse guiding them to safety. But the atmosphere shifted when the grandfather entered the room. He stood quietly in the doorway, a mix of admiration and contemplation on his face. For a brief moment, time held its breath. Ginger's heart raced again, trying to decipher what lay behind his solemn expression. "Your heart is in the right place, Ginger," he began slowly. "But hearts can be fragile. You must tread carefully." His words hung heavy, wrapping around her like a gentle warning. Did he see the flicker of doubt still lingering in her soul? As she nodded, unsure of how to respond, the question danced in her mind. How could she balance the joy of connection with the weight of societal expectations? Would her efforts be enough to bridge the gap that had begun to close? The tension in the air begged for release, and as she felt the children's arms around her, she understood that this was just the beginning of her journey. What would the next moment reveal about her place in this family, and would it reshape the walls that stood between them? With the sound of children's laughter swirling around her, Ginger felt a current of joy pulse through her. The warm embrace of little arms around her was a comfort she'd never known. Yet an unease lingered like a shadow. The grandfather's caution echoed in her mind, mixing with the soft giggles and chatter of the kids. "Let's make some art," she cheered, trying to lift the mood while her heart raced with doubt. They settled on the floor with art supplies spread out like an inviting tapestry. The younger ones dipped their fingers eagerly into paint, transforming the white paper into chaotic splashes of color. Ginger guided them, her own worries momentarily forgotten as the children chattered excitedly about their creations. But every now and then, she caught sight of the mother, hovering in the background, a storm brewing in her eyes. Ginger had wanted to break down barriers today, to encourage freedom and creativity, but how could she do that with a watchful eye always ready to pull back? Each glance felt like a challenge. Could Ginger really make an impact in this family? Or was she just an outsider looking in? A little while later, amid the flurry of paint and laughter, Ginger noticed one child, Sam, sitting quietly, watching the chaos instead of joining. His expression was pensive, the joy of the moment seeming just out of reach. She knelt beside him, her heart aching for his quiet sadness. "Hey buddy, what's on your mind?" she asked softly. Sam hesitated, his blue eyes searching for something before he spoke. "I don't know if I can paint like everyone else," he whispered, fiddling nervously with his brush. Ginger felt a squeeze around her heart. "I bet you can. Art isn't about being perfect. It's about expressing how you feel inside. Even the wildest swirls can be beautiful." She dipped her own fingers in paint, embracing the mess, creating an abstract piece on her paper. "See? Just let it flow." He giggled, a rare smile breaking through his uncertainty. Encouraged, he touched the brush to the paper, the colors dancing in wild patterns as he experimented. The light in his eyes sparked dimly but surely, and Ginger felt the walls around her heart begin to melt. As the session continued, she noticed the mother watch Sam with a softened gaze, the heaviness in her stance lifting, even as she remained cautious of the unfolding interaction. In that moment, Ginger felt a small victory growing inside her. She wasn't just babysitting. She was nurturing connections that transformed not only the children but the adults around them too. But as the day progressed, the anxiety of the mother returned, and the tension thickened. Snacks were served, and hesitation painted her face, worry shadowing her movements. "I think we should stick to conventional lessons," she said, her tone careful. "Creativity is wonderful, but it needs structure." The words pierced through Ginger, an icy reminder of the battle she was facing. Eyes met and the moment seemed to stretch. Did the mother see the impact? Would the art session matter in the end if the rules always prevailed? Desire and fear clashed within Ginger as she processed the mother's perspective. "I understand," Ginger replied, her voice steady. "But sometimes, letting go could open doors we didn't even know were closed." Would the mother give her a chance to prove it, or were they destined to clash? Just then the grandfather chuckled softly, observing the art around them. "You have brought out the best in them, Ginger. Just remember, it's not just about teaching them, it's about learning from them too." Ginger locked eyes with him. His words danced on a thread of hope. Perhaps this would help her earn their trust. She nodded, determination growing within her. This was her moment, her chance to bridge the gap, to show them that love had no boundaries. But as the laughter faded into uneasy silence, another storm loomed on the horizon. What would happen when their daily routine returned? Would Ginger's light be snuffed out under the weight of expectations? As she glanced at the children so full of joy, the answer lingered just out of reach. What steps would she need to take to ensure their laughter continued and their hearts remained open? The day was still young, but Ginger could feel a heaviness settling in her chest. Would the next moment bring joy or challenge? The air shimmered with the sun's rays filtering through the window, casting bright patches on the floor where the children had been painting. Ginger looked around, hoping the next few minutes would bring more joy than uncertainty. There was a palpable stillness, as if the room was holding its breath. "Okay, kiddos. Who's ready to share their masterpieces?" she asked with a bright smile. Her heart thudded as she scanned the anxious faces. She knew this moment could either uplift them or awaken the underlying apprehension swirling in the air. The children exchanged cautious glances, each one unsure whether to step into the spotlight. Finally, Sam stood up, clutching his paper like a treasure. I want to show mine first," he declared, a flicker of confidence lighting up his eyes. "Yay, Sam!" Ginger cheered, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. As he stepped forward, Ginger felt the mother's gaze pierce into her, an unspoken challenge hanging between them. Sam unfolded his artwork, revealing a chaotic mix of swirling colors and splatters. "I did it like you said. It's about how I feel," he explained, his chest puffing a little as he spoke. "That's beautiful, Sam. It looks like you're sharing a rainbow," Ginger exclaimed, genuinely impressed. The other kids nodded, their light laughter filling the space. The mother's tense expression shifted, and a glimmer of pride flickered in her sharp eyes. "It's so colorful," added another child, Sally, who then jumped up too. "I want to show mine." And just like that, the ice began to crack. One by one, the children took turns showcasing their art, growing bolder with every exclamation of admiration from Ginger and the others. The once quiet room echoed with laughter, and for the first time that day, Ginger felt the warmth of connection blossoming. But amidst the chaos and creativity, Ginger couldn't shake the feeling of the mother's watching presence. Even as she smiled at her child's artwork, there was a tension lurking there. "I appreciate the creativity," she said tightly, her voice steady. "But let us not forget art should have some rules." Ginger felt her heart sink for a moment. Would she be able to hold on to the magic they created together in spite of the mother's expectations? Rules can help, but creativity thrives when we feel free to express ourselves, Ginger replied carefully, her voice calm but firm. The moment of silence felt heavy again, but Sam chimed in, raising his hand as if in class. "I had fun. Felt good to do what I wanted." His innocent declaration hung in the air, sparking something in the mother. For an instant, Ginger caught a glimmer of hope on her face. Ginger ventured, "What if we plan our next art session to include both structured lessons and free time? Let us blend the two. I think it could really benefit the kids." The mother hesitated, her eyes flickering between Sam and Ginger. It was a delicate dance, one that required trust to navigate. "Perhaps," she finally said slowly, softening her stance just a bit. That faint opening breathed hope into Ginger. If they could come to a mutual understanding, maybe they could create an environment that nurtured the kids and allowed their spirits to flourish. Let us do some music next, suggested Sally, bringing in a fresh energy. Maybe we can paint to songs? That sounds fun. Her suggestion electrified the atmosphere, and the children clamored for it, the laughter rising like a symphony. It felt like they were all part of something greater, united in pure joy. Ginger smiled, her heart racing with excitement. The barriers seemed to crumble a bit more. Just then, the grandfather appeared by the door. Looks like you've managed to turn the tide, he acknowledged with a knowing smile, pride radiating from him. But as the conversation shifted, Ginger's mind wandered back to the impending reality. What if the mother's acceptance was only temporary? Would the fragile progress they made hold when confronted with the outside world? Her pulse quickened at the thought. The children's laughter continued to blend with the music in playful harmony, and she vowed to fight for the creativity that had flourished, yet it still felt precarious. The day was far from over. How could she keep this spark alive amidst the fears and pressures of that looming reality? Ginger took a deep breath, ready to face whatever challenge awaited. In that moment, a ringing sound pierced the ambient joy, a reminder that life was about to interject its harsher truths. Would it deepen the connection, or tear it apart? The phone rang again, slicing through the laughter and music like a knife. Ginger's heart raced. She quickly glanced at the caller ID. It was Sam's father. She swallowed hard, unsure what to expect. He wasn't the sort to call without a reason. "Excuse me for just a moment, kiddos," she announced, trying to keep her voice steady. The children nodded, eyes still gleaming with excitement. Ginger stepped outside, the sound of their joyful chatter fading as she answered the call. "Hey Tom," she said, forcing cheerfulness into her tone. "Ginger, sorry to bother you." His voice crackled through the receiver. "I just wanted to check in on Sam. Everything okay?" "Absolutely," she replied, a smile creeping onto her face. "The kids are having a blast. They just shared their art, and Sam has really opened up. It's like a whole new world for him." Ginger could almost picture Tom relaxing on the other end, maybe a smile on his face too. "That's great to hear. He has been a bit reserved lately. I was worried he wasn't." Connecting. Ginger felt her sincerity deepen. "He is connecting. In fact, we're thinking of incorporating music with our next art session. It's really fun to see the kids come alive." "That's a good idea," Tom agreed. But Ginger sensed an undercurrent of concern. "Is everything all right over there?" she asked, her tone shifting. She remembered the heaviness in the mother's demeanor. "It's just there's been some talk at school. You know how parents can be. I want to make sure Sam has positive experiences, especially when arts are involved. I don't want him influenced by any negativity." Ginger's heart sank. It wasn't just doubt. It was fear seeping into the conversation. "I assure you, we're focused on building confidence. This is a safe space for everyone." "Thanks, Ginger. I appreciate it. Can you keep a close eye on him for me? I just want him to keep feeling safe." "Of course, I promise." As they hung up, a weight settled in her chest. She walked back inside, the warmth of the children's laughter making her feel a bit lighter. But the pressure loomed over her mind. She couldn't let them down, not Sam, not any of them. "Okay everyone. Who's ready for music time?" she called, attempting to harness the energy from earlier. The kids erupted in cheers, their enthusiasm contagious. They gathered around their art supplies again, eagerly awaiting the colorful sounds that would inspire them. Ginger pushed her worries aside as she connected her phone to the speaker. The first notes filled the room, a lively tune that felt like summer itself. She watched the kids sway, their bodies moving freely to the rhythm. With each beat, the air thickened with a mix of joy and uncertainty. As the music played, they began painting again, brushes dancing across paper like their bodies moved. Sam glanced at her, his smile genuine and light, and Ginger felt a rush of determination. No matter what challenges loomed, she would protect this space of vulnerability and expression. Ginger caught a glimpse of the mother outside the window, her features unreadable. A wave of panic washed over her. Was she ready to face whatever judgment lay ahead? Would she stand tall for her kiddos, even if it meant standing against expectations? "Let us paint how we feel about this song," Ginger encouraged, her voice strong and bright. Let our hearts lead the way. The children responded, erupting into a flurry of colors once more. But in the chaos of creativity, a whisper of doubt lingered in the back of Ginger's mind. Could she shield them from the judgments of the world outside? As the final notes played, an uneasy silence fell over the room. Ginger caught her breath. There was something approaching, and it felt profound and unsettling all at once. What would happen next? Would they continue to create a world here free from judgment and fear? She turned to the children, yearning for the strength she hoped they'd gained. Would the music help solidify their bonds? Or was it merely another fleeting moment of joy on the precipice of change? Ginger glanced around the room, feeling the weight of the silence. The kids had paused with paintbrushes hovering above the blank canvases, their faces reflecting the afterglow of the music. A hush had fallen over them, as if they were waiting for a spark, a nudge to dive deeper into their creativity. Okay, kiddos. Remember how the music made us feel? She prompted gently, kneeling down to their level. Let us talk about our favorite moments from that song. What colors do you think match those feelings? Emma, her bright blue eyes lighting up, hurried to raise her hand. I felt like dancing, she exclaimed, passion spilling out in her words. I want to paint a lot of yellow like sunshine. That's fantastic, Emma. Yellow for joy, Ginger encouraged, feeling her spirits lift. She turned to Sam, his brow furrowed as he mixed colors on his palette. What about you, Sam? What did the music make you think of? Sam hesitated, and for a split second Ginger held her breath. She could sense the uncertainty hanging in the air. But then with a soft voice he replied, it felt happy like when I see fireworks. His eyes sparkled at the memory, igniting a flicker of inspiration. That's beautiful. Ginger beamed, nodding. Fireworks are so vibrant. What colors do you think capture that? Red and blue. He burst out, his hesitance melting away as conviction took hold. Sam reached for the colors, determination shining through his actions. Ginger felt her heart swell with pride as she noticed the spark of creativity illuminating his expression. As the children dove back into their artistic frenzy, painting with extravagant strokes and vivid hues, Ginger relished the sound of their laughter once more. For a brief moment, the pressures of the outside world faded away, leaving just the warmth of connection in the room. But then a sharp knock broke through the cheerful ambience. It echoed like thunder, pulling everyone's attention to the door. Ginger's stomach tightened. The laughter dimmed as she walked slowly toward it, each step filled with trepidation. Who could it be now? She opened the door to reveal a worried-looking woman, holding a clipboard. The air seemed to shift, spilling an unsettling chill into the joyful chaos behind her. The woman's gaze met Ginger's, her expression a mixture of concern and authority. Excuse me, she said sharply. I'm with the school committee, and I need to speak with you about the activities happening here. Ginger's mind raced. The protective bubble they created was under threat. The music, the laughter, the colors, it all felt tenuous now. Could this moment unravel their fragile peace? Ginger looked back at the kids, who had paused at the sight of the visitor. She saw Sam's anxious eyes, so full of potential yet brimming with uncertainty again. Would she be able to shield them from the storm brewing on the doorstep? Taking a deep breath, Ginger turned back to the woman. Of course, but maybe we could talk inside, she offered, forcing calmness into her voice. The moment of truth was upon her. She had to protect what they had built. As the door swung wider, all eyes were on them. What would this encounter mean for Sam and the others? Ginger felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders, but she also felt a surge of resolve. Come on, everyone, she said to the kids, her voice firm but warm. Let us show her what we do here. But as they gathered around, Ginger could sense that the path ahead was uncertain. Would this outsider understand the beauty they were creating? Or would it all shatter in the face of judgment? The tension in the air grew palpable as they prepared to step into the unknown. What would happen next? Would their little haven survive the scrutiny? Ginger stepped back, granting space for the woman to enter. The light from the room spilled beyond the threshold, meeting the stranger's cautious posture with warmth. Inside, the children stood quiet, brushes suspended, uncertainty etched on their eager faces. Let us begin with an introduction, the woman said, tapping her clipboard. I'm Mrs. Daniels, the chair of the school committee. I've heard some positive things about your program here, but I need to ensure everything is within the guidelines. Can you walk me through what you're doing with the kids? She surveyed the room, her gaze drifting over the colorful chaos of drying paints and canvases, the bubbling enthusiasm that had been alive just moments before now overshadowed by her presence. Ginger felt a tremor of anxiety, but she wouldn't let it show. Absolutely, Mrs. Daniels. Welcome to our creative corner. She gestured around the room, enthusiasm bubbling in her voice, even when her heart raced. We use music and art to express feelings. It helps the kids tap into their creativity and build confidence. As she spoke, she noticed Emma's colorful swirl of yellow and Sam's red and blue blending together. Their paintings were more than dots on canvases. They told stories of happiness and freedom. Ginger felt the weight of her hopes in those strokes. Would this woman see that? Mrs. Daniels raised an eyebrow, her clipboard clutched against her chest. Creativity is essential, but I need to be sure the program meets educational standards. Are the kids receiving structured lessons? Absolutely, Ginger replied, regaining her voice's strength. We incorporate lessons in color theory and emotional expression. Each session involves discussions, and the kids learn not just to paint, but to understand what they feel. The children began to stir, their curiosity piquing as they leaned in closer, yearning for approval. Ginger's eyes met Sam's. His expression was a precarious mix of hope and dread. She knew how much this mattered to them. They had fought through their own struggles to find this refuge. Mrs. Daniels took a step forward, her clipboard sliding off her arm. I see those brilliant ideas, she muttered, looking at the canvases but not quite meeting their creator's eyes. But I need to know if you're prepared for unexpected challenges. Art can attract criticism. The words hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Ginger's heart beat loudly in her ears. She felt a sudden swell of protectiveness for the kids. Judgment can be tough, Ginger admitted, her voice soft, but what we're creating here is special. It's about embracing who they are, flaws and all. Ginger glanced at the kids again, hoping for their resilience to shine through. Emma nodded and Sam gripped his palette tight, as if it was a shield. But what if Mrs. Daniels began, then paused? For a moment vulnerability flickered across her stern face. What if the critique comes from other parents, or even the community? There will always be naysayers. Ginger felt a pang at the thought but squared her shoulders. You're right, there will be challenges. But we've built a family here. They're learning to support each other no matter what. Just then Sam spoke up, his voice ringing with strength. We like painting for us. It makes us happy. The innocence in his proclamation wrapped around Ginger's heart like a warm embrace, glowing in the chilling atmosphere. Mrs. Daniels' expression softened briefly, a fleeting crack in her serious facade. But the clipboard remained in her grip, her authority clinging to her like a shadow. I'm going to consider this, she said finally, her voice a blend of challenge and intrigue. But I will need to observe more sessions. I want to see how this unfolds. Ginger nodded, though worry gnawed at her. What if it wasn't enough? Would the kids be able to handle more scrutiny? Her mind buzzed with possibilities, as she sensed the precariousness of their situation. We'll make sure you see what we do, Ginger said, a flicker of determination lighting her eyes. You'll see how important creativity is for their growth. But as Mrs. Daniels turned to leave, Ginger couldn't shake the expectation that loomed just beyond. Would their sanctuary survive? Or would the outside world seep in and shatter the delicate trust they had crafted together? And just as that thought crossed her mind, an unexpected noise, a soft sob, broke the silence, not from the doorway, but from a corner of the room where Emma had retreated, her canvas untouched. Ginger's heart sank. What was unraveling now? What was the pain hidden beneath the vibrant colors? Ginger turned abruptly, her heart clenching at the sight of Emma, curled up in a corner. The vibrant paint splotches around her screamed joy, while the girl herself seemed swallowed by shadows. This stark contrast sent a shiver down Ginger's spine. Emma? She stepped forward cautiously. What's wrong, sweetie? Emma wiped her tears with the back of her paint-smeared hand, trying to compose herself, but it was too late. The tremors in her small frame betrayed her, and Ginger felt a wave of urgency wash over her. Nothing, Emma sniffed, her voice barely above a whisper, but it felt like a fracture breaking within the silence. Ginger crouched down to Emma's level, the world around them blurring into the background. You know you can tell me anything, right? If something's bothering you, we can talk about it. She could see the conflict playing in Emma's eyes, a storm of emotions swirling beneath the surface. It's just, what if I'm not good enough? Emma finally confessed, her small face trembling. What if no one likes what I make? The words pierced through Ginger like shards of glass. She felt the weight of that fear echo in her own heart. Oh, Emma, she said gently, it's okay to feel that way. But remember what we're here for. It's not about being perfect. It's about expressing yourself. Emma looked down at her untouched canvas, her earlier excitement fading away. But what if Mrs. Daniels thinks my painting is silly? What if she tells everyone? Ginger felt a surge of determination. You are not silly, and that doesn't define your talent. Just look at how colorful your palette is. It's beautiful just like you. The corners of her mouth turned up, wanting to coax out even the faintest smile from her. A flicker of hope ignited in Emma's eyes, but it was brief, quickly shadowed by doubt once more. What if my colors don't make sense? She challenged, her fear bubbling over. They don't have to, Ginger smiled, brushing a lock of hair back behind Emma's ear. Art is about what you feel inside. No one has to understand it but you. I promise you there will be people who love it just the way it is. Just like I do. Emma's expression began to soften, but still, the sobs threatened to break free. Ginger reached out, wrapping her arms around the girl in a warm embrace, letting the moment encapsulate them. Ginger recalled how she had once felt out of place, how a hug could transform uncertainty into courage. It's okay, Ginger murmured, holding her close. I'm here. After what felt like an eternity, Emma pulled back and looked into Ginger's eyes, searching for reassurance. What if I make a mistake? Then you made art and learned something in the process, Ginger replied, her voice steady. Every stroke, every color tells a story, your story. Mistakes are part of that, Emma. They make you real. Emma took a deep breath, her little chest rising with new resolution. Can you help me? She asked tentatively. Of course. Ginger beamed, stepping back and guiding Emma to her easel once more. Let us choose some colors together. What do you want to feel today? As they started to mix colors, a new energy filled the room. The tension was still present, yet lighter now, like clouds clearing after a storm. The other children started to pay attention, witnessing the transformation before their eyes, and Ginger couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. Mrs. Daniels had only caught a glimpse of their creativity. It wasn't just about painting. It was about learning to face fears. Ginger hoped that was what the woman would see in the sessions to come. Then suddenly the door swung open. The bright sunshine streamed in, illuminating the room, filling it with warmth again. Mrs. Daniels stood in the doorway, a curious look on her face, assessing the rebirth of energy in the space. Ginger's heart quickened. Would she recognize the beauty of their struggles, the strength that this little group had? But just as effortlessly as the tension shifted, another sob broke through, a new sound this time, coming from Sam, who had put down his brushes to observe Emma's moment. What was unraveling again? Would the scrutiny of the outside world pose another challenge? And more importantly, how could Ginger continue to protect their sanctuary? As Ginger turned towards the sound, her heart sank. Sam stood by his easel, his face twisted in worry, tears glistening in his eyes. It was a sudden shift, one that startled the room into silence. The joy from moments before dulled. The light dimmed as his sorrow washed over them. Sam? Ginger called softly, kneeling beside him. What has happened? He choked back a sob. I just don't know if I can do it either, Ginger. What if my painting is terrible? Ginger took a deep breath, the weight of his words echoing Emma's earlier fears. It felt heavy in the air, the familiar doubt creeping back, threatening to wrap around the warm atmosphere they had created. Hey now, she said, trying to sound reassuring, remember what we talked about? Emma glanced over, her own fears mirrored in Sam's expression. The bond of vulnerability formed between them in that moment, a thread of shared apprehension that wove tight the fabric of their sanctuary. What if I'm not good enough, like Emma said? Sam continued, his voice barely above a whisper. What if the other kids laugh at me? Ginger reached out, placing a hand on his back. You're already good enough just by trying. Every stroke you take is an expression of you, and no one else can create that. The room felt electric, a charged energy shifting from fear to hope, propelled by Ginger's words. But what if it doesn't look like the painting in my head? He insisted, his voice cracking. Then it'll be a different painting. And that's its beauty. Art is about the journey, not the destination. You never know, it might surprise you and become something more beautiful than you imagined. Sam's eyes flickered with uncertainty, caught between grasping that idea and the fear anchoring him in place. Ginger knew that they had to pull him into the moment of creation, to remind him of the joy amidst uncertainty. Let us paint together, okay? She encouraged. Pick a color that speaks to how you're feeling right now. He hesitated, glancing at his array of colors. Finally, after a moment, he picked a bright blue, reminiscent of the clear sky on a perfect day. There was something bold in that choice, and Ginger felt her heart lift. As they began to paint side by side, Ginger mixing colors and encouraging each tender stroke, Sam's face began to show hints of concentration. The room fell into an ambience of soft chatter mixed with the sounds of brushes on canvas. Emma, watching, reached for her own colors again, inspired by the two of them. Can I try again? She asked tentatively. The emerging confidence in her voice was thrilling, sparking life into the atmosphere. Absolutely, Ginger responded, urgency in her voice to fan the flames of their creativity. One moment turned into another. Laughter began to fill the room as they helped each other mix colors, sharing tips about brush techniques, and even giggles about silly shapes. It was then that Mrs. Daniels stepped further into the room, her presence thickening the air again. Yet, this time they weren't hiding from their emotions. They were standing in the glow of their budding artistry. What's going on here? She asked, her tone an intriguing mix of curiosity and authority. Ginger felt a knot in her stomach. Would Mrs. Daniels appreciate this change? Would she see the transformation happening right before her eyes? But before she could respond, another voice piped in, a slightly trembling but resolute voice. Sam spoke up. We're making art. And it's okay to feel scared. Ginger said that mistakes are part of it. Ginger's breath caught in her throat. What a brave thing for him to say. Mrs. Daniels' brow lifted, surprise evident on her face. The energy shifted again. Would this signal a turning point for their little group? Or would it be another moment of scrutiny toward their insecurities? Ginger could only hold her breath and hope as the moment hung heavy in the air. In her heart, she felt the narrative was just beginning to unfold. But would they find the strength to continue together? The atmosphere hung thick with uncertainty, but there was a vibrancy in the air. Sam had taken a leap, and Emma's renewed spirit came alive with each brushstroke. Ginger steadied her breath, searching Mrs. Daniels' expression. Would skepticism replace the hope brewing within those painted walls? I'm watching them explore their emotions through art, Ginger spoke, her voice steady and proud. And it's helping them relate to one another, to express who they are. She gestured to Sam, who was methodically adding bold strokes to his canvas, and to Emma, who was mixing colors with undeniable enthusiasm. This is a journey of not just art, but connection. Mrs. Daniels shifted, her clipboard at her side, a flicker of understanding softening her gaze. I can see that. Children thrive when they discover new ways to express themselves. Ginger's heart soared at that moment, igniting a spark of hope. Exactly. They're learning to trust themselves. There's power in that. Even amidst fear? Mrs. Daniels asked, her voice softer now. Yes, fear is natural, but it's part of the process. We can't shield them from challenges, but we can teach them to face them. Ginger felt the weight of her words, as if they were gifts meant to break glass ceilings both within the kids and the adults observing. In the growing warmth of connection, the children began to engage Mrs. Daniels, lifting them out of their own worries. Mrs. Daniels, want to paint with us? Sam blurted out, his eyes sparkling with innocent optimism. A surprised grin crossed the woman's face. Well, I'd love to give it a try, but I might not be very good. Neither will we, exclaimed Emma, giggles slipping from her lips. The laughter bubbled like joyous music, echoing their newfound freedom. As Mrs. Daniels pulled up a chair, Ginger released her breath, her heart swelling. This was at the moment when a bridge formed between her world and theirs. With each hesitant stroke, Mrs. Daniels began to express herself on the canvas beside the kids. Laughter filled the room while Ginger's heart felt like it could burst. They were stepping outside boundaries, discovering a shared experience that transcended adult concerns. Time flowed like the colors on the canvases. With every brush stroke, the tension began to fade. For the first time, Ginger could sense that they were creating something alive, something that mattered. I didn't realize how freeing this could be, Mrs. Daniels admitted. Her gaze focused on the way the paint blended. Art really does make you tap into your feelings. Yes, it's about letting go, Sam chimed in, his confidence blossoming. Emma nodded vigorously, determination shining in her wide eyes. Ginger grinned, fighting back the tears that threatened to spill. They had forged a bond, one that had lifted them all, tying them to a more profound understanding of life, art, and belonging. As the afternoon wore on, Ginger caught a glimpse of the grandfather standing quietly in the doorway, his gaze warm and approving. Each child's laughter echoed in her heart, reminding her of why she fought so hard to create this space. Let us sign our paintings. Show everyone the beauty we've made together. Ginger cheered. The kids squealed with excitement, gathering around to inscribe their names proudly on their canvases, a testament to their journey. With the final strokes in place and signatures affixed, she turned to Mrs. Daniels. We've created something special here. Can you see how letting go of expectations opens the door for joy? Mrs. Daniels held up her canvas, an abstract array of shapes and colors, and smiled. I do see that now. Thank you for this insight, Ginger. I think I understand what this means for the children and why it matters. Ginger's heart fluttered with hope. Maybe they'd begin to change perceptions as a community, one brushstroke at a time. As the children cheered, Ginger felt her dreams intertwine with reality. She saw the world around her didn't have to be a space of division, but instead could be one bursting with love, understanding, and boundless creativity. They had forged a new family amidst uncertainty. Can we do this again? Sam asked eagerly, glancing at the others who nodded enthusiastically. Every week, Ginger declared, her heart overflowing. This was the new beginning she prayed for, where creativity could flourish and connections could grow. Together they held the strength to change the world, starting with their laughter, their art, and each other. As they cleaned up, the sun began to set beyond the horizon, flooding the room with a golden glow. Ginger beamed with pride, knowing deep down that transformation was more than about art. It was about connecting. It was about belonging. And as the kids tucked their painted gifts under their arms, Ginger realized that this journey was just beginning, one filled with hope, creativity, and the promise of loving friendships. Now more than ever, she was certain of one thing. They could conquer anything together. This bond would endure, and she would nurture it fiercely. So here's the call to action for each of you reading this now. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover these heartwarming narratives. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation unfold. It's the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Remember, only true fans know the importance of uplifting this community through these actions. Together, let us keep the spirit of connection alive.